I got to be in a small group with Ron Paul. And he and I are not 100% aligned philosophically or ideologically, but he's one of my heroes because I think as a political figure, he's had more influence on educating people about the principles of liberty than probably anyone since Thomas Jefferson, maybe. So it was really fun for me to get a chance to be with him for an hour and a half. And then during the Q&A time, I got to ask him, I said, so Ron, I really acknowledged all he'd done and his impact on me. And I said, so what do you think about voluntarism? Do you think there's actually a chance, given the lack of political success in solving our major problems, do you think there's a chance that we could actually survive and thrive as a species in any other way other than actually getting rid of government? And I don't think he's seen the Thrive movies either. So I told him in Thrive 1, we laid out a business plan, a 3-stage plan for a transition to a stateless society. And the first stage was a Dennis Kucinich type liberal democracy where you use the money from take half the military budget and all of the Federal Reserve money and pour it into a transition. And then phase 2 was you go into a Ron Paul type of minarchy, a limited government, classical conservative, where there's no foreign wars of aggression, you have honest currency, and the government is only there to protect individual rights. I said that, that was stage 2, and we named it after you. But I said, my belief is that we need to get the cancer out of the body politic, which is politics itself, the whole myth of authority. So I said, I think by the time we reach that phase, that there would be so much prosperity, so much security, and so much philosophical maturation amongst the public that people will go, well, why in the world would we hold on to any illusion of authoritarian ruling at all? Why don't we just get rid of the rest of it and go to all of the conditions that I've laid out many times about a voluntarist society? And he said, very similar to when I asked the same question to Ed Griffin, he said, I can't argue with you. I agree as a goal, and we need to keep that goal in mind, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So meanwhile, he said, all that's way too complicated for me. He said, I don't even identify myself on the political spectrum. He said, I've had to go with the Republicans because that's how I had a chance for a bigger voice. But, am I a libertarian? Am I a classical liberal? Am I a minarchist? He said, that's all way too complicated for me. He said, I'm a simple guy from Kentucky who believes in liberty, who believes in honest money, and who believes in not messing in other people's business, even foreign wars. So he said, that's what I've represented my entire career. So it was really helpful for me to recognize that we've each got our role to play, and he's done his so brilliantly. I think we'll forever be grateful for that. And he's right. He's not thinking at the level that this group is about, 50 years out from now. How are we going to make it as a species? And that's simply not his job. So I think similarly with Bobby is, and I think always will be, a political creature. So now I think we're going to see him continuing to try to adapt his idea of politics as an agent of change and as a method for peace, adapting that to principles, particularly the principles of truth and freedom.